Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahu Akbar. Dao ke dao fei cheng dao. Min ke min fei cheng min. Ja Rastafari. Deus nos de qui es in cielo sanctificato nomen tuum. Vaheguru sanam. Baruch atah Elohim Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lachem min haaretz. Amen. Kyrie eleison, Sivamas tu sabrigatehi, sabe sata bavantu sukitata. Vagabim. Nakwaba upendo namani. Fikir nesalami. Chindu damber me lebav me womajiga. Ubuntu shabanda fikitka. Shishan. Como sinira domo arigato. Pedoma yellow wakatoka. Toko doku shingun. Gomenigan. God, we thank you for all your blessings. Ata jami. Ata afanami. Ado. Oh, shanti, shanti, shanti. Amen. Blessed love and peace. This is our corner store haul. Corner store haul. Unboxing. Mukbang. Blah blah. Sugar, sugar, salt, salt. Fatty, fat. Wada wada. Additional joint. Put it back. Bring it on the side. Get it on the side. At the window. Give thanks and praise. Ain't got nothing on the ledge. Been negligent in that respect. Ain't felt too nurturing in the past couple of days. Perhaps somewhat needy. Oh, that's so saddy. Anyways, we got got something to share. Ain't gonna get into it at this point, but it ain't the best. It don't matter, basically. It's not the worst. It ain't the best. It ain't healthy, to be honest. So, anyways, that being acknowledged, here's what we gotta share. Just in case people don't think us suspect enough, we're going to share something else pertaining to streets. And the short of it is this: the consideration of a ceasefire a truce, some kind of pause of hostilities between the streets and the popo. Oh, it's official. He done sold out. There it is, right there, warning sign. Soliciting, selling out. They got him. He shook. He's scared. He done started shuffling. He told y'all. hear me know. This is addressed particularly to the good folk of the hood. To the good folk of the hood. Reasoning. It's like this. First, again, we're going to talk about what ain't nothing new. What ain't nothing new. And then how things done change. What ain't nothing new and how things done change. And it's not too much of how things done change. It's still what ain't nothing new. It's just like, it's kind of like another level. Of what ain't nothing new. So here we go. Here's the way you frame it. Frame it. So what ain't nothing new is that the law of the United States, the so-called law, racist, classist, and genocidal. That's what ain't nothing new. What also ain't nothing new is what we've said about that. And recognizing how the game works. When nations are warring against each other, yes, it's the foot soldiers that are most often pulling the triggers. But if you just focus on the foot soldiers, you're not dealing with the causal factors. To deal with the causal factors, you gotta not even address the generals. You gotta address the kinfolk who are sending the generals the orders. That's game. So when we talk about the racism, the violence, police brutality, in addition, the police are pulling the triggers. But if you just focus on that, you're avoiding the game. You're ignoring the game. Look at the ones who are sending the police out there, who are giving the police the orders. The lawmakers and the people who hire the lawmakers. The cave dwellers. And there's no shade on the cave. I'm just speaking facts. But kinfolk don't know a lot about that. A lot intimidated by that. Getting fearful of that. Because when that's addressed, the hammer starts knocking at the door. It's easier to blame the easy targets. The police. And we know. I've been beat down. On this block. In this domicile. You ain't gotta tell us. Don't talk about that. Just see I know. Just see I know now. Alright. Burning Spear. So that's what ain't nothing new. And there's further of what ain't nothing new. Yes, racist police. Yes, police brutality. But the answer to that is getting to the bosses. And it's not even the bosses. It's the law of the bosses, because the bosses get exchanged. The boss is on a revolving door. Every 4 years or whatever. Excuse me. So anyway, that's one thing that ain't nothing new. The other thing that ain't nothing new is this. When you know the game, when you know the streets, even when you just watch criminal gangster films, what you know, what we know, is that the gangsters, once getting to a level, got police on the payroll. They're friendly with the police. They cool with the police. I'm not talking about Popo. Yeah, do your job. Because they got it lined. when getting to enough of a level. And police may not like us saying that, but this is what we're talking about. So, for those who are street and militant on not dropping dime and drawing lines and everything else like that, recognize that the gangsters of the streets are in with the same hypocrisy of the senators. So that's another what ain't nothing new. Now, what also ain't nothing new is this. Recognize that the police work for pedophiles and cannibals, the occult, people who are trafficking, having sex with children. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 year olds. The police are working for them, which is why the police are paralyzed and doing something serious about human trafficking and child trafficking. It becomes insulting to even talk about it because it's so ridiculous of how evident it is pervasive. And that's where we're talking about in terms of this ceasefire. Because of that, the police need backup. So we'll talk a little bit further about what ain't nothing new, about some of the further details about the game, particularly as it pertains to the hood. Recognizing the sexual corruption within the hierarchy of society. The mayors, the council, city councils, the business leaders, the philanthropists involved in pedophilia. Where's your evidence? That's serious accusations and charges. Listen to the testimony of the people who are bearing witness, the survivors who are bearing witness. Look at the things that are already revealed and public knowledge and publicly accepted, with and without trials, officially, that are shown, and understanding and recognizing and just being honest that that's just the tip of the iceberg. Recognizing how it translates all the way to ground level politicians, state representatives, people trying to make a come up in their political parties, and additionally, black kinfolk and other ethnic kinfolk who are getting startups, getting in the game and want to get that invite to that party where they got the 15-year-olds and the 16-year-olds. And they hear about them stories about them very, very, very mature 13-year-old virgins. Whoa. Invitation to that party. And they know those invitations are coming from kinfolk who have gone to further levels of depravity and otherwise. But just don't turn a blind eye to that. That's not me. I'm focusing on this over here. But there's that susceptibility and that slippery slope of getting further into that game of corruption. And so the public figureheads, the ones who are put on front to be mouthpieces and additionally of some type of semblance of mainstream, with only whispers of minor infractions. Those are the poster children of the normalcy of the political parties. Meanwhile, in the back rooms, is things you don't want to know. You make an effort not to know and to try to stay away from it as much as possible, and don't want to think about how the official leaderships of government, political parties, and additionally know what's going on in those rooms, even if they don't do it themselves, know what's going on and can't say anything about it because the people who are in those back rooms got lots of power. Don't talk about who don't come out that room. Well, you know, life ain't fair. They're not doing it themselves. What can we do? At least it's better than other kinfolk who already started switch hitting and otherwise. And the corruption becomes further and further and further severe. And we find ourselves in the situation of this moment where even police, who are traditional family men and women, who actually value life, may not think everyone's equal, may not treat everyone equal, but at least have some recognition of basic respect for life somehow, some way, much further than their bosses do, but can't properly protect and serve this life because the bosses are some of the most severe violators of life. And thus, the police need backup because the police can't tell you that. It's not even losing their job. It's further than that. Police cannot tell you that. When kinfolk get at police and yell at police, that actually gives police some relief, because at least they can focus their attention on those aggressions rather than trying to pretend they don't know and don't see what their bosses are doing right in front of their eyes, flaunting. Cowards, punk cowards, Bonte boy and otherwise, flaunting the violations in front of the faces, knowing police can't do much about it. Who are they going to call? Police chief, commissioner, attorney general? That ain't shade. It's just saying. Police need backup. Now it's tough because police are sworn to uphold a racist, classist, and genocidal law. But the conditions are getting such that the nature of depravity, the pervasiveness and severity of depravity and corruption is getting hectic. The police need backup. So again, the consideration is figuring out somehow, some way to broker some kind of truce, some kind of ceasefire. We can't trust treaties too tough. It's got to be something that's like from the heart and unwritten, effectively, to be honest. But either a culture, an understanding, some type of communication with enough credibility amongst hood leadership. And like, we're not talking about official spokespeople or whatever else, but like true hood leadership, the quiet ones whose names aren't known that tough. And it translates eventually to further culture. But somehow brokering some kind of agreement, because this is still the Wild Wild West. And there's a lawlessness. And yes, police have certain protocols that emphasize occupation rather than relationship. But at the same time, the police aren't the ones who establish that protocol. The police are employed by the people who establish that protocol. And again, that's why the police need backup. Now, that's not just a matter of like saying, okay, let's everybody get along with the police and now we're going to be friends. Come on, we know better than that. We got to find a way that's actual, that still protects our well-being against the abuses, indiscretions, and mistakes, and otherwise. So we're getting into scratchy head time now, and rubby the eyes now. We should look at the storage tune at this point now. You scratching your head on, checking over the storage on. Hey, you're doing job. I'm actually trying to do a what's the brethren's name from the bottom? It's the brethren's name from the big up the bottom. The Dade, aka Muskogee land. So finding out somehow, some way to broker this truce, this ceasefire, something. Don't got to be permanent, but just something for the moment, and figuring out a way to deal with the corruption. Now, on that topic of the Bantu boy and the pedophiles and the cannibals, as I've said before, as we said before, continually, it's not a matter of condemning kinfolk. Yes, those are atrocities. Yes, it's a matter of stopping it as much as possible. But to recognize when we just call kinfolk evil, devil, and condemnation categorically, that feeds the beast. And wait, hold up. How am I going to say that when I say everybody's devil? I also say everybody is a child of God. And I emphasize that. And everybody's wrestling. So when we talk about people who are violating children, one of the most heinous things in this life, torture, rape, and violation of children, molestation and otherwise, some of the worst things in this life. Yes. Even then, and particularly amongst pedophiles, because pedophiles are extremely intelligent and have so many different types of rationales and pimp talk that's very difficult to navigate and call out effectively. And when kinfolk just come with emotion and anger, that makes it easy for the pedophiles of playing victim of distraction, smoke and mirrors, and additionally. So it's a matter of being forthright and communicating honesty, truth. We see this. This is wrong. This is hurting people. This needs to stop. This should stop. You should stop. We're not mad at you. We don't hate you. But this needs to stop. Because ultimately, in this life, in these circumstances, aside from the scenario where the flood comes, the flame comes, or whatever else, when we are the kinfolk of Nineveh and committed towards reformation and returning ourselves to Shuva, redemption, reconciliation with all relations and the Most High, when we pursue that route, what that involves is recognizing the suffering within pedophiles and studying that as much as we can to understand what is that pain and suffering, what are the pedophiles going through, what is the nature of Adadoro to be like that, and draw them snakes out as much we can. That's what's involved. That's what it requires. And pedophiles are striving to let it go. And it's difficult. Why? A couple of reasons, particularly. One is just to be sober and want not to do that, and want to commit towards a life of not doing that. To think that one can do that, to not do those violations, not gain whatever one is perceiving as gaining from doing that behavior, of causing that harm. Because the fear involved is being able to go without it for a while, being trusted and start to get back into life again, and then at some point reverting. And so all the trust that it's accumulated up to that point it becomes even worse than before, because now there's that further violation and people start trusting in additionally and then get violated for that. So that's one consideration concerning pedophiles. And that might not seem convincing or otherwise, but it's a matter of, it requires that heart. It requires that loving kindness, that chesed, that metta. That's one thing. The other thing is this. It's like getting caught up in the game of gangsterism and otherwise. Pedophilia is similar. When pedophiles are cooperating in networks, colluding with others in terms of rings and exchanges and other things, it's not just them at that point. They are bonded with other kinfolk who may not be ready, inclined, or accepting of healing, and have a number of types of get-attedness in the disposal, in the arsenal. So pedophiles can often be fearful and concerned about that, and because of that continue on causing those harms and aggressions and atrocities. So it's a matter of being mindful of that and discerning plausible methods for that healing and for it to stop. And I just say categorically it's got to stop, and otherwise we're going to rain down havoc. So I'm starting to get sleepy now. I can feel it. I haven't gotten much sleep in the past 2 days. So it's beneficial to start wrapping this up at this point. So anyways, point being here is like, even when we address the pedophiles, and this goes for cannibals too, people who are eating people, whether it's through blood transfusion, whether it's through organ donations, whether it's through actual cult sacrifices. That sounds crazy, but at the same time, when we listen to testimony, yes, some people are on some bullshit and doing other things for a number of different reasons. But at the same time, we also hear testimony from increasingly credible witnesses. And it's beneficial to recognize again that that's simply the tip of the iceberg. So even in those scenarios of such kinfolk who are making those type of violations, understanding the suffering and being empathetic. It may involve lockup, but not lockup with dehumanization and disrespect or otherwise. Continually being respectful and being genuinely empathic, of wanting to help, listening, and then sharing some guidance, some encouragement, some solutions, some healthier alternatives for kinfolk to be. Full stop. So I'm starting to go sleepy now. So again, it don't mean like just hold everybody's hand and there it is, that's the answer per se. But it is a matter of being disciplined in how we address the conditions, and not just releasing our frustrations by spewing venom towards kinfolk, because that only fuels the fire. So that's part of what we see as solution, and it takes some time. It requires some trust on a number of different sides. We're getting into the scratchy head, sleepy mode now. We're at half an hour. Let's wrap this up, please. Thank you. Don't mean to be beggy. Just being polite. So even when we're addressing these atrocities, to do it in a way that's respectful, not excessively respectful, not kowtowing or whatever else, but just being respectful, and not giving much ear towards people who are spewing venom, and to focus on the steps of healing for the children, for the families, and for the violators too. That don't mean going to groups together, whatever, but recognizing the process of healing for each of the categories of kinfolk I mentioned, and then attending to that. So I'm starting to fall asleep at this point. Concentration is going to be very strained, so it's beneficial just to wrap this up. Plus, the potato chips are gone. Me. So the police need backup, and the police can't say that. When it comes to proper policing in addition, police don't make the laws. So we have to find a way, because the cooperation, it's not going to come from edicts signed by the mayors or police chiefs or the council, city councils, or whatever. That's not how it happens. It's a matter of, again, the hood maybe coming up with like some kind of declaration, like the Freedom Charter from South Africa, and saying this is what's expected from the police. And in return for this, as a public announcement, in return for this, when the police are doing this and as the police make steps towards this, this is what the hood is providing for the police. And put that out there. They have like the Bill of Rights and whatever. On one side, it's what the hood is expecting and demands from the police respectfully. And then on the other side, it's what the hood is offering to share and support for the police. I'm other than the dude for that, to draw that up at this point. We got other parties. I'm working on spirituality and additionally. So if Kim will want to talk with us about that, we can do that. But at this point, even then, we're on a transactional basis when it comes to kinfolk outside of our community, because that's what needs to be. You see what we're dealing with. We have vulnerabilities. We ain't begun no weapons, and because of that, some kinfolk feel further emboldened for trying us somehow, some way. So because of that, we have to be further mindful at this moment of how much we put ourselves out there and like initiate communication and interaction. And additionally, even we love people. That's what we have to do. That's who we are. But at the same time, when that's who we are, we also make ourselves vulnerable to those types of predatoriness. So it's beneficial and it's necessary for us to, at this point, at this moment, in this duration, particularly amidst the election season when things just get so whatever, for us to like withdraw, keep a distance. Now we're in the process of doing some diplomacy, just because it's been a long time, and we need to share some beats to step to. That's no cap. That's just lyrics. Eric B and Rakim. Let me tell it. I thought just a minute ago, past a week, the lyrics to "We on a Mission on a Small Time Thing." I thought that was Chubb Rock, and then when I look it up, apparently Google is informing me that it's Special Ed. So we still gotta check on that. I do remember Chubb Rock doing something along the same lines. This is "We on a Mission on a Small Time Thing." It all started when the phone went. Did not Chubb Rock do something along those lines? I know it just wasn't Treat 'em Right or whatever else. So, anyways, that's what we're talking about. That's what we share. For this moment, we give all thanks and praise to the Most High Elohim, blessed love and peace of Rastafari.